Oh, I see connection now. And physics education and history. Interesting combination. Mathematics, physics, and history at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. She holds a bachelor's in mathematics education from the Federal University of Bahia and a master's degree in education as well from our current institution in Rio de Janeiro. And in 2025, she moved to York as an international visiting student or researcher training supported by the PDSE CAPES program. Her work focuses on mathematics education, financial education, critical mathematics education, and the visibility of Black women in science and technology. So today we're going to be having a talk on the question of financial education, who benefits from it, and the importance of this topic. We've all seen the abstract. And without further ado, I'm going to yield the floor now to Tamires for your talk.
Thank you for introducing me. Oh, God. Oh, thank you. That's right. Yes, we have. I think. Thank you. How can I? Thank you. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome everybody who's here. Thank you for coming. I'm so happy to stay here with you and the people will stay on the Zoom too. Hi. And yes, today we were talking about financial literacy. Some perspectives involves the racialized perspective and problematized, and about Brazil. And can, yes, yes, yes. And to start, I want to give the special thanks to my supervisor, Professor Manlade. She's here. She's my supervisor here in Canada. And my doctoral advisor of Brazil, Victor, I think he will stay here too. And the area at Tubman to receive me, to invited me, Rebecca and Bianca and Maud, and the York University too. And my group of studies in Brazil, the name is LAPRAMI, and PEMAT is my program of studies where when I study my PhD there in Brazil, in Rio, and CAPS for to support me to my studies to stay here. Where else? I'm so happy to stay here, and so I live here. That special thanks to start. Okay, about me, but he presented me, but only to say it's a mix of issues and of interesting what I like to study mathematics education, science, technology, visibility of a woman in science. And I think it's important to say that because when you look for my research, these perspectives is inside of then I study maths, but for me, maths is not only to think about numbers, but is how we can use the mathematics how tools to the society. Ideas of the perspectives of financial literacy, and just a little about the racial context in Brazil, and how we can think the racialized and problematized perspective to financial literacy too. Yes, when you think about financial literacy and what is understood by that, this theme, who benefits from it? and why has topics become increasingly relevant in recent years? I think we saw on the internet, TikTok, Instagram, and social medias, and the university, the people today, I think in Brazil, we are talking too much about that. I think here too. What do you think about that? Okay, thank you. It's very interesting because when we listen too much about how we use the credit card or how to saving money or debits and budgets, it's very interesting, but sometimes I think we stay only on the part to think about the individual's responsibilities, how if everything what we do in our lives will change the world or our world of finance, you know. But sometimes if we observe about the budget of the some families or some countries, we will observe it's not so about the individual responsibility. I think we need to think more aspects who is involved that, what is involved that. But then I'm thinking about that and about to the context, the informal context too. And well, I will talk. Then we arrived on the context of my research because I was born in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. And I moved to Rio to study my master and after my PhD there. And one question what I have when I lived in Salvador, it was, and my family today lives there too, live there. And I think how the community where I lived and I was born organized themselves about money, because they don't have a lot of money, but they made many things to, for example, buy cars, house, do parties, take a beer on the weekend, many things. And I think how it's possible that people do that if they don't have knowledge about banks or investments. What is happening, how they can do that. And if we think about the context of the community too, they have so considerable economic activity there, markets, shops, and what else. Then yes, the name of the community there is Nordeste de Amaralina. It's a neighborhood with different neighbor there, and they there are many shops, market, and a great economic activity. Then let me to reflect how they organize their finance. I was thinking about that too much, and I don't know if you observe that in other country or places in different contexts, the people, it's not exactly talking about banks or debits or something like that, but they are doing the life. They are doing a miracle with money what they have, you know. It's in different contexts. They don't have too much money, but they are doing miracle. I think miracle is a great word. Yes, a big word to explain that. Then how a researcher, I was starting to think about that. And yes, please. Thank you. I discovered that I interviewed some people there on the neighborhood, and they discovered some types of organizations. It's an example of the informal financial organization to saving money, which individual goals or collectives. And in this example, illustrative example, during 6 months, the people put the same quantity of money, and in months, one of them will receive the quantity of money. It's a form, and I think, oh my God, how it can possible organize that? Why they are doing that? And it's interesting because they are not thinking about I will receive more money after 6 months, or will be bad and I'm saving too much money. No, they are not thinking about the finance, exactly the mathematics of the calculus of the money, but they are trying to doing some things to organize themselves about money, to buy something, to do a party, happy birthday to the then son, what else? It's very interesting because I was saying, oh, exist other types to organizations about finance. And yes, I discovered that. I interviewed some people and I asked for them, why do you prefer put their money in this saving or not in a bank? And they said, because I use that how a payment, and I know the people who are involved of that. And I know of each month someone will receive that. And I was talking with my supervisor and she said that we have that next in another country. Yes, I don't remember the name. Sorry. So,
Different.
Jamaica, the same. Yes, in Rio, they call caixinha. In Salvador, caixa financeiro. Someone know about with the other name? Partner. Yes, it's the people say it's very next of consortium too. It's very next, but I think the difference between is consortium it involves some bank or some institution, but they not. It's only type to the people, the group who know them to organize and do that. Thank you, please. Yes. And then I started to think, exists some legislation in Brazil to involve in to talk about financial literacy, and I saw other perspective in the practice. And there we have this legislation to addressing financial literacy, national curriculum parameters, national common curriculum base, national financial education strategy. Every these documents talk and laws talking about the importance to organize finance, to think about this knowledge. But when we this traditional perspective, it presents who involves the what is involves the financial mathematics, and the approach to financial mathematics is often limited to present mathematical content such as percentage, simple interest, compound interest, or some class we do only to solving problems. Oh, someone have a lot of money and needs a percentage with that, and we are not to think in a critical perspective with the students and to consider to the social context. And it's very next to the individual responsibility, meritocracy too. If you do that, we will saving money. If you don't not, it's your responsible. Or and it involves to neoliberal perspective too, how only involves the saving for what I want to receive a lot of money, but it's not think about, for example, oh, I will buy this clothes because I want, or because I need, or because what we are spend money with some things. We don't with this perspective to talk about finance literacy, we don't construct some perspective, critical perspective with the students. And yes, to involve the social context to what I said before. Thanks, Rebecca. Yes, and when you think about the reality of Brazil, we will consider this discussion and laws. It's not it is insufficient to think about that. When you think about the social inequality, when you look about to the data, I put here some data to what I find in my master too. When we think the difference between race and gender and qualifications who involves the wages too. For example, we will observe about the difference between debts of families, black families and white families, or the score to the ranking of PISA. Do you know PISA? It's um, examined to do the discussion of financial literacy too. Uh, sorry, because I put the workload to do and we don't do, sorry. But to continue about the, yes, when we look about to that informative data and context scenarios, we will observe the difference and the inequality present on the contexts. And inclusive when we think about the boss or not, or formal or informal context of your works too. When we think about, we can change. Here, I could not translate this one because it's the original, it's in Portuguese, but we explain. Here we have the difference ratio and gender and disparities in informal or informal labor markets too. We will observe the difference between white men's women's, and yes, for me it's very important this part to understand what I when I try to explain the inequality presence on the data. And I will ask it for you, how we can think about financial literacy with this context when you observe the difference between the works and how some families receive money and other families not. It's when you think the point of start is different of some families. Illustrate that. Yes. And yes, here, oh, is because I talk with that. Here we are talking about the racial wage gap too, and how some we have the difference between two when we look with these variables of race and gender too. Thanks. Yes. And other thing, when we think about the context of high school, uh, the difference between the disparities between the students who leaves the school or who continues to study. I don't know if that's happening in other place too, but I can imagine, yes. And yes. And why that happened? We need to look to the racial context in Brazil. When you observe about the colonial history, hello, the colonial history of Brazil, and what is the consequence? Because sometimes when we think about, oh, what is the different racial of when we think about data? First, we need to observe about the period of eugenic perspective, what happens in Brazil, where we have the whiteness theory, and there it was no the people of the other countries said in Brazil don't have the apartheid. For that, it's a paradise, a racial paradise there. But for yes, I don't know if you someone listened about that. Yes, it's terrible because for us, I will say it's worse because the denial of racism don't kill it the racism, you know. And we need to talk about that. And I asked for to my supervisor in a moment, how do you discover or about the racialized here or in other countries? Because some people there, it's right now discovering their racial thing, their racial self-identified, you know, because just now we are talking about that discussions. Just now we are talking about that. And it's important to understand that, to observe the maintenance of the system, because if we don't talk about that, don't exist. It's how if don't exist, but it's a myth of racial democracy. And this sorry, we come back, thank you. This Hands Redemption by Modesto Brocos, it's someone knows this image. It's very interesting because when we look that, it's how if the black man, it was say thanks God because his son daughter married with a black man, oh sorry, a white man, and the baby it was look like light skin, you know, and light face, and she said, oh thanks God. And for us the perspective is a made to eliminate in black population in Brazil. If we observe the dates of how many people of some countries, other countries coming to occupy it there, to live there on the south of the Brazil, and to mix the race there. And it was a politics. It was yes, it were a politics in Brazil. What it was happening that. And thank you, please. And when you think, for example, these days of the difference, how the people self-identify the racial perceptions, what has changed too? Because before the people don't say about the self-identified, and after the other years, they started to say, no, I'm a black people. Yes, I'm, because before, to be black, it's not good for us because of the racism, because the idea of black to be how a black people, it's how internalized racism. Yes, and it's very, for me, it's very sad to think about that because it's true. It's not some invention, and some terms are changed before the people say caboclo or mixed race. And now the conceptions for us to say race or mixed race or brown is the same to say black for us because the IBGE is the Institute to Geography and Statistics there. They try to do this qualification to try say the people, yes, you can self-identify your face how a black people. You are you can live here. You can receive some rights to live to be better, not to divide the people. And now we have this qualification. Please. Then it's necessary to build a perspective of financial literacy that dialogues with the reality in Brazil. But the before to continue, yes, the only to I will, yes, I propose to do a word cloud before, but I will do now only to, yes. What words do you associate with financial literacy when you think in financial literacy? Please answer for me. Oh, investments, saving, clarity, borrowing, budget, yes, policy, investment, liberal scan, social justice. Oh, taxes, yes, money, freedom, like in saving, well, math. Very interesting. Yes. And it's funny because I talked too much, and after I did the word cloud, but it's interesting because I think it's important too, because when I think about the different perspectives when involve financial literacy, here we can observe, we can think this theme involves different perspectives. It's important that not only to think in an individual perspective, when how I say before, then, yeah, stock markets. Thank you. I use that in my research after. Thank you. We come back to the presentation. Thank you, Rebecca. Please. Yes. Thank you for answering me. Someone wanna talk something? No? No? Okay. Well, um, and I will talk now about the, yes, and the in my master we discovered too. Oh, I forgot to say, sorry. The name of my supervisor of my master is Kleber. Thank you, Kleber, for working with me here. Professor Kleber, Dr. Kleber Costa Diaz Neto. of Brazil too, and we discovered I talked about the saving money of the caixinhas, what I said in the beginning of, and the other part of the research of my master, we talk about some brotherhoods in Brazil are involved with the Catholic Church, and during the colonial period, the people do some how can I say, saving money of that time to buy then freedom too. It's a kind of organization to try to give for them best conditions. It's important to say it's not too romantic to think that how a romantic perspective, but it's only to think about some resistance, whatever happened with involves the Black people. And it's very interesting when this is a video where I we can show. Oh, it's in Portuguese, but have subtitles to show it on its own. Vida, eu falei sobre. E hoje eu vou falar um pouco mais sobre outra parte da minha pesquisa de mestrado. Eu pude ter acesso a algumas informações e algumas pesquisas que traziam um levantamento de informações sobre pessoas negras que no período da escravização elas conseguiam juntar dinheiro, e aí a moeda da época, obviamente, para comprarem suas alforrias e também para alforriarem outras pessoas. Então, como que era isso? Na época do Brasil colônia, né, esse pós em que começou a surgir os primeiros movimentos de república, enfim, algumas pessoas começaram a ter que investir, movimentar a economia, pessoas negras e pessoas não negras, movimentar a economia como uma forma de investir dinheiro, de que o dinheiro circulasse não só no comércio. Então foram surgindo a ideia de banco, e aí tem um vídeo de 100 anos da Caixa Econômica Federal que as pessoas colocavam dinheiro lá para poder ter essas primeiras formas de poupança, essa ideia da poupança como uma forma de o dinheiro não circular só no comércio, mas o dinheiro também ser pensado a longo prazo, a gente poderia falar dessa forma. Algumas pessoas negras conseguiram já ter acesso, algumas que já eram livres na época, e alguns que não eram livres também, mas que estavam querendo se alforriar. Obviamente que a gente não vai olhar para isso como uma forma de foram bons e estavam dando essa possibilidade, vão deixar os negros se escravizarem, não. Obviamente com muita resistência, muita luta. Isso foi acontecendo e foi feito. Então tem um vídeo da Caixa Econômica Federal de 100 anos de comemoração que mostra isso, como fizeram esse movimento de colocar dinheiro. E aí tinham também as irmandades, e era uma espécie de organização para que os grupos fossem se alforriando. E também a gente poderia olhar para isso como uma forma de primeiros empreendimentos, primeiras formas de empreendimento no Brasil, porque tinham algumas mulheres que, mesmo sendo escravizadas, elas eram escravizadas de rua, escravizadas de ganho, e elas tinham que vender quitutes, vender várias coisas nas ruas, e aí um dinheiro era dado para os seus senhores de engenho, né? E os outros, o que elas recebiam, elas conseguiam colocar o dinheiro e se alforriarem. E também, nessas irmandades as que existiam, tinha uma organização de modo que, como se tivesse um empréstimo, a pessoa que tivesse mais dinheiro conseguia comprar a alforria, e aí depois uma outra pessoa comprava, e aí iam comprando. E aí tem histórias de mulheres, de negras senhoras que conseguiram se alforriar e, por exemplo, compraram outros negros na época para poder depois alforriar esses outros negros. E aí elas conseguiram deixar, tem dados que mostram, elas conseguiram deixar panelas, tachos, coisas que elas utilizavam nessa época, uma espécie de herança, né? Negras senhoras que deixaram essas heranças depois que elas morriam. E muitas não constituíam família, mas aí para serem aceitas, elas participavam das irmandades das igrejas católicas. Muitas das heranças foram deixadas para as igrejas católicas. Então tem toda uma história que a gente não conhece, assim. E aí também, na parte da minha pesquisa, eu pude olhar um pouco para isso e posso falar um pouco mais sobre isso também nos próximos vídeos. Someone know history? The neighbor? No, never listen. It's very strange because when you think how many churches, Catholic churches have money, and then and now in Brazil they are doing the research to discover what's happening, with this money, who the people live there, because yes, it's a history what we don't know about. And to continue, please. And it's important to observe and connect with that to try to stop to normalize historical, economic, and social standards. And what we are doing now on my PhD, try to do the discussion in the field of mathematics education to try develop methods and methodologies aimed to reshaping the concept of financial literacy, to try to contribute with this the transformation of inequality contexts. Because when we think about the financial literacy with the perspective of community, will be uh, uh, start to try, because I sometimes I think we'll tend, no, I don't think we'll tend, but we'll try to tend some ideas, to try to think about other perspectives, more collective. And what I'm trying to do, please, Rebecca. Yes, I worked in Rio in a high school, and I was doing with my students some classes of math class, and I constructed these syllables to think about the money, expense, investments with other perspectives, to think with them about the relationship with money, about what do we expend money on, or why do we spend that, and what are the possible ways to save and invest. And if we consider the perspective of caixinha, how investments, or a kind to think of saving money too, and to try to connect with them about them histories. And there in Brazil, we have two laws to try to connect the Brazilian schools to teach Afro-Brazilian, African, and indigenous history and culture. Then it's some people say, oh, it's not math, or oh, it's not financial literacy, or it's a roman. Try to construct that. No, but what do you say? We have a law to talk about that, to connect with the students the true history, and to try change their conceptions about themselves too, to try connect the thinking about the current salary tax, but to connect with the true, to the other possibilities to think. And oh, they no. Yes, yes, thank you. Yes, and we have now to the Black Awareness Day in Brazil. It's happened November 20th. It's a honor Zumbi dos Palmares and highlights Black history, culture, and the fight against racism too. And I did with my students the anti-racist financial literacy wall to try to talk about some Instagram page of Black people who talks about money and financial literacy, and how, and here we can, it's, yes, the page of Instagram, the profiles who the people who talk about that, and about some movies who talks about Black culture, and how King Woman, Black Panther, and Self-Made, it's a Netflix series, and how that's kind of movies and series talking about the Black culture, and then got a lot of money too. And when we change the perspective about Black culture, we can involve to think about finance too. And I did these activities with them to try to construct other perspective about financial literacy. And here, I was a finalist on the XP. It's a institution in Brazil who, yes, it's funny because it's a traditional institution, and I was there criticizing them inside there. Do you understand me? Yes, but I think we need to stay on that spaces too, to try to dialogue with them, to think about other perspectives, uh, okay, they have the money and they will talk about investments and many things, but I will critique there inside there to try to do that. And yes, I was there to trying to do something. And yes, and so to finish, I want to leave this question. It is possible to approach financial literacy from a racialized and problematized perspective. Thank you. Hey.
Hello, amazing talk. From what I saw, Tamires, unfortunately, I got stuck in the subway, but we are recording this, so I'll be able to watch it again. Thank you so much for those very insightful things that you're putting together in a very, very interesting way. And I'm going to leave the floor open for questions on the Zoom and in the room. I have a few things formulating, but since I haven't been here since the beginning, I want to leave the floor for the Q&A. This is so bright. For for folks, if you have any questions in the room. Questions, thoughts, comments. Oh yeah, we got all our folks on the Zoom giving some Oh, so we have a question from Keisha Bell. Yes, can you explain the community financial pool again?
Yes. Can you put the yes, please? On the beginning of yes. Yes, yes, we have. Is in Zoom? We'll share the screen. Yes, it's better to observe. Yes, perfect. Here we have an illustrated example, and a group of people put the same quantity of money. Here we have 200 reais during 6 months, and one of each other receive the total quantity of money. For example, the person A received the 1,200 money in January, the after in February, other March, and it's a type of informal financial organization, but some one person who I interviewed there in my city in Salvador, they do a finance pool. I put here finance pool, but can be saving too, or caixinha in Portuguese. And I forgot, sorry, in Jamaica, the name partner. Yes, and the group put the same quantity, and one one person were interviewed there. She do that with some friends of markets, and they use there to buy things for the market to use that only. And it's not on each month, it's for week to do that. And it's a type of organization to try saving money for a period, and can be for a year or each month or each week. And it's a kind of organization to try to do um, deposit amount, or with the groups, with the members who are involved of. Do you understand, Keisha?
Yeah, I think I do. So do they keep it in a bank, or everybody just gives cash to each person, whoever is supposed to get it in the month?
Yes. Did you saw something there next of that? What you say? Oh, thank you. Oh, I love to know more about research, Tamires. No, box hand, osus. Osu. Yes. Thank you for the comments of the people. No, here, someone. Okay.
So, towards the end of the talk, you were speaking about the work that you do in schools, and you showed some of the collage that they did and all that. And I'm wondering, like, you said something. Wait, what is it? You said something that changing the perspective about Black people and financial literacy at the same time is like, something very powerful that you're trying to untangle. I'm wondering, did you see in the school setting when those two things sort of intersect that there was like a political want to maybe like go to their representatives or do something like at a larger scale that gets them involved in like wider understandings of politics and economics in Brazil or just in their city or something like did it make them think bigger about those ideas?
It's a good question because I think we don't have yet the some projects of politics to involve that. I think I do because I'm a teacher and I believe in that. And I try to do now in my research that discussion with the teachers training to try to do that to uh, live to more places, And with the students, I did the activity in different schools. One of them, the students say, "Oh, do you want to learn about how save money or do investments?" And the other were more interesting to do. Oh no, we can learn more about that perspective, or to think in other perspective of financial literacy. But I think we have the legislation of what I showed in the beginning of, but no, yeah, don't worry. But it's perspective is so individual. We need to, yes, if you can show again, thank you. But yes, but it's not sufficient enough to do to try to change the perspective. I think, for example, today on the internet we have many people talking about financial literacy, how individual perspective, and to try, oh, you can do that, or oh, you can save that, you can put 10% to do some saving to travel or to pay that credit debts or card debts, what else. But it's not so think, for example, oh, how I put on a part to think why we buy something. Why? I will buy a new shoes. Why? I need, or some things when I will buy a water or juice or soda, and I will buy the bigger one. Why it's cheaper? Only why it's cheaper, but I don't want this size, And I think we have a lot of questions or try to problematize it with the students who involves the racial perspective or only the perspective to the questions of the choose things who involves the finance, and I think it's important, the legislation, but it's not enough to change the perspective. I think we need to work too much to think about that, because if not, we will think only the perspective of meritocracy. For example, now I was looking off to the Ontario's curriculum. We are talking about that. It is very next of the perspective of Brazil of the legislations to talk that the perspective involves to meritocracy or only individuals' responsibility. Someone talks about the text, what we have. we buy something here and we pay when you arrive to pay. We have some tax involved, and when you reflects about the inflation, we on the usually days we don't do that. But I think we can try to construct the ideas with the students on the schools, and to arrive on the schools, we need to do that with the teachers on the teachers training, and to try to construct this way, to build in this way our tools, or to try to sorry give more knowledge about the that ideas, because if not, what the someone who receive, oh, 100 and pay, no, 1,000 and pay, uh, I don't know, the half of the wage, which is to rent a place and need to buy food for the children and do many things, and you say, oh, you don't do you don't live your best, give your best to about money. Do you know? It's not only about that. I think I mix the ideas, but I think to me, you wanna.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, and I think one thing that was interesting from what you said too is like there's like a lot of consumerism knowledge that you're also like disseminating. Yeah, that's great. Where was the hand? Oh, over here and then over here. Okay, perfect.
First of all, thank you for your research. And so thinking about like teaching in Ontario, your first module about like understanding kind of yourself and your relationship with money, I thought was really interesting. And it's not in our curriculum, but still important, I think, for us to do. So what do you think that looks like in the classroom? Like what kind of activities like would you have the students do to get them to understand that? Good question.
Yes, it's a big question. I think I don't have a certain answer, but I will try to think what I can. You put the thoughts of my syllabus there to try. For example, when you think the mm, thank you. Yes, this one. We can discuss. You need to follow the curriculum. It's a certain thing. The first thing. But sometimes we will work in a place there it's not too free to talk many ideas, different ideas of the curriculum. I know that. But I think some moments how a teacher we can do questions for the students. What do you think about that? Or leave for them some scenarios of oh, and for example, what do you think if we have this family with that characteristics? How they can organize their money about who involves that? Or to try construct some scenarios with the students to do questions. I think I had a teacher and he said someday, it's best the questions of then the answers. Sometimes it's best to do questions to give them the answers, I think. And I agree with that because I think some of them the students will say, oh, but no, it's not my reality that. Oh no, I know some people who lives with that characteristics, you know, and to try to do, for example, how I put here, some questions to try give the directions to the discussions of, oh, we can do these calculus. For example, we have some problem of math problems, and we need to calculate the percentage involves the interest of to pay for 2 years after. Okay, but if you think these questions involves inflation, or do you think if this person lost the job, for example, what she or he, what else, can do with that? Or the interest involves of, I think we can try to use the curricula, the traditional curricula you have, to try construct other ideas to give for them only the sorry, um the ideas to think about that. Yes, I think it's not easy to. I think I can imagine that, but I think you need to try to give possibilities to think in the other perspectives. Yes.
But building on this, Tamires, which first of all, you did great. So proud of you. You're amazing. Um, in connection to the question that Lauren just asked, I'm curious about this is the syllabus that you taught this to your students, right? Um, maybe I'm wondering if you can share with us some ways that you embedded Afro-Brazilian history knowledges into the syllabus. So were there things, can you share maybe some examples of some things that you did in relation to teaching this course?
Yes. And I think, for example, about the relation of money. Some families, when we think about the internalized racism and how the people use the money, some black people believes who need to expend money when received because they don't believe in themselves. It's a, how can I explain better that? For example, how do you feel yourself or your connection on the life? You will expend your money. It's an idea, and I will say for you, oh, or I think if I receive more money, I will be a best black people. You understand? Or it's confused. Some people believe in that, but sometimes what we discussed on that day, but the racism, for example, will be happening independent if you have more money or not. It's the first thing to think, to discuss, or to think about. And the other thing is, if you don't believe in yourself, if you believe only I need to work to be able to do that, to receive money and that to expand, not to saving, because you don't believe in the um to you don't believe in your life to big years. You need to expand because you don't believe in the um how you understand what I say? Yes, on the future, because we don't have a perspective with that. But when we change the perspective of race and to think, no, you can construct a good place who is involves your race. You can try to connect with the perspective of savings, of the other things, to try connect with the history of your ancestors too, to try to change the perspective who involves your finance. I believe in that. I did some activities with the students, for example, with the teachers, to try to think, for example, some musics where they say about money. For example, in Brazil, we have some musics who say, money on the hand, it's. Dinheiro na mão é vendaval. É tipo, it's kind of. You can't save money. You need to expand. Some music who say that. Oh, how do you know some music is that? Yes, money, money, money. Yes, he's doing that. You need to spend. Yes, it's a thing. And some ideas what we have, it's so it's because she was there. Yes, but it's true because I think some perspective who we believe it's so inserted in our lives or in our conceptions how a population it's difficult to change. But when you reflect about that, we need to try to connect how we feel, how a black woman, and how I feel about my family, my organization. It's not only because I did not I don't give my best. It's not only because I'm, for example, there when we saw the data of the difference of the wage, we will saw it's not only because you don't work too much, because we have this difference between it's different the weights or is different, yes. And to try to I saw some activities that to try give for them some data to try do the analysis about and to try to find the difference between the kinds to do then organization of who involves financial education, financial literacy, for example. And yes, and I'm trying to think more ideas of activities too, because I think it's not easy. But I think that idea to think how I'm feel and how I'm feel my money. For example, my father, it's a good idea. My father worked too much, and every day I listen him to say, I don't have money because they spend too much. And I know he has, but he don't believe in his capacity sometimes to saving money because he said, oh, I received today, I need to expend today because I don't know if tomorrow I will stay here. And yes, I know it's yes, it's funny, but he is a black man, and he don't have the perspective to the future. It's funny, but it's hard to think that some white families, what else? The first thing what they say is you need to save into the future to travel to study in other country. You know, some difference between the ideas who involves money. No, I will expand today because I don't know if you will. Yes, because the perspective of future for us, I think we are making that now. We have many PhD researchers, and I'm here because I receive a support of my finance of my university of my country. But if it will be only of my family, it is not possible to leave that. You know, and I think I'm not correct because yes, because when we think about that perspective of financial literacy, we need to discuss many things which involves that our perspectives of life. Because of that, when we connect the ancestor history of saving or other types of organization, we say no, we do too much with little. And we try to resistance and to live and to get better our lives. And I think we need to connect with that good part too, because I think we do too much since when we are living on the world, on our countries. It's not only bad history about money, because my father who say that he paid my studies and say you need to study to be a bad person, my mother too, do you know? And it's a for a side say no, I don't have, and for a side no, we will do that because you need to go to your best, your thanks, and a mix of them. And I think to try to connect with that black students, to try to say with them, no, you can do that, or oh, what are you? How do you observe your family, and or where we can observe the best of your family to try enjoy that, to think about financial literacy of yourself. What else? Yes, yes. I try to answer what I think, but I think I have many things to work to involve that, because we are starting to talk about the financial literacy to involve us just now. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. So I have a layered question. I come from a culture where we say things like we save for the rainy day, or we say things like money is like people, it comes and it goes. So I think my question is, do you consider how class influence how people have access or understand financial literacy? Because coming from my personal background, if you have money, you're always saving. You're trying to eat and survive the next day. If you have extra cash, you're not thinking, oh, I didn't eat fish last night, so I'm going to have meat tomorrow. You save because you're not even sure rice is going to be available tomorrow. And it comes across, it provides this idea of this scarcity mindset, where sometimes you're among people and someone is trying to, like, maybe people are shopping and you're like, I don't want to shop, and be like, it's a scarcity mindset. You come from poverty, but these are like really serious things. And I'm just looking at how those survival poverty and the trauma around growing up in class shape how people understand or make sense of financial literacy. And then again, I'm also thinking about the home and their broadness of financial literacy, because at home I'm a citizen. Here I'm an immigrant, and I would tell people, if whenever I have certain conversations, to say, moving here cost me my entire savings of 2 years to travel to Canada, to pay for tickets. And then you come here, the lifestyle is entirely different. Like, you pay monthly rent. We don't pay monthly rent in Nigeria, and it shapes an entirely different thing. So how do we think about home and our broadness and identity, like still trying to find yourself and fit into an entirely new space when it comes to financial literacy? Thank you.
Gotta fix all the problems.
Yes, I will do the Ministry of Finance to the Black people world, and we will receive money to live in Canada because it's too expensive. I know that. Yes, I don't know because yes, I don't know. I understand what you say because yes, it's how if you leave this circle of that we need to work to survive, and when we can live, or we live and we need to try saving to survive again. And yes, how we can broken that this circle of. And I think, yes, I don't know. I don't know exactly, but what I'm trying to think is we need to try to construct other perspective for us. Maybe started to trying to talking about that. It's a big beginning of, because we don't discuss about money with our families. Sometimes if you think, for example, your family, some families, I don't know if your family, but don't talk about the savings or the problems, and the old people solve the problems and don't say to the children's, or say, no, you can I can't buy that for you because I don't have money, only that. Or not, yes, oh yes, you can do that, only that. But I think to try to observe the perspective, to think the abundance for our lives. Because if you think, okay, we don't have too much, but we do too much what we have. Because when you think on the black families, what I was saying now, when we cook food, we put water and cook to a lot of people, do you know, and try to do our best with what we have. And if we have, will be better. Don't you do the mechanism to try to, no, I have little, I will put water to do to more people, you know. I think the big problem for us sometimes is we don't receive funding, for example. It's a good problem, I think. And yes, you know, it's a, or the difference between the weights for white people and black people or other people when do the same activity for work. It's a problem, I think. We need to try to change that. For example, one time happened to me in Brazil. I was working in a school and I was there, and I could do to do more class to receiving more, and they contract other men because it's a man to teach math, because they don't believe it. I can teach that. And you think it's not because, yes, sometimes I think the racism will arrive to say to us, no, you can't receive money to do that. It's a problem. And after, when you say, I save money for 2 years to stay here and expensive, I know that for other people, Sometimes don't leave that. It's different. Only receive. Or when someone say for you, talk about your work just a little, but it's a work. You don't receive for that. And we need to say it's racism too, that. And sometimes we don't receive or we can do nothing with the wage what we have because we don't have wage sometimes. It's only not why we don't give your best. It's a thing, but I mixed the ideas and I forgot the principal question. Sorry.
Class about.
Oh, thank you. And thank you. Yes, and when you think that who involves the class, I think when when the people say, what is first, class or race? I think is state is together. And sometimes when we access to the other class, we continue to be a black people. It will unfortunately, racism will arrive for us. So because of that, I think we need to discuss class and race. How I'm trying to do, because it's not only to try to give access. We need to give the perspective to enjoy the class too. You know, because if you say, "Oh, everybody will move, everybody will receive," and if we arrive in a place, Brazil sometimes happen that you can enter there, you enter in a place, and the people say, "Oh, you working here, but you are trying to enjoy that, but only asking that because you were black people," and it's not enough to be a class or to be money to pay that. We will receive some discrimination in some place. To that, I think sometimes it's not enough to think about class. We need to discuss the ideas of, oh, first, why we have class. You know, the big word with everybody receive the money to live their lives, and we don't have class or difference between. But we don't have that. We have class, and I think, yes. For example, when we think too about the knowledge and formation, the idea when you study, when you receive more information, you need to receive more, but sometimes don't happen. It's not happening because they want to pay the same to. When we think about black people, I have a master and I work in some place, they will not pay more because I have a master degrees. So yes, do you know? And it's difficult because it's I have sometimes I ask that for me. Oh my God, I have knowledge, I have formation, and I need to work more to receive more to try to do my best. And yes, I think we do this discussion too when we think about we need to do this that discussion when we think about money too and financial literacy because you are yes I agree with that to the idea to think class class and yes I feel reflexive with that because but I think the most important of is to think it's not only about you, it's not only about me, it's about the perspective of system when we need to try to change. Do you know? Yes, I think that.
Any questions online? I have a question and then okay. I have a question just based on the conversation that you've been having. You mentioned family and how sometimes there's a lot of erasure when it comes to how finances work when it comes to the children. But there's also a flip side, and I know that it's common in a lot of Black communities. Like I know it's common in like my community from like in Haiti, where the idea of having children is also the idea that the children are going to take care of the parents, or they're going to be able to take care of them financially as well. And so I feel like that's in different ways similar in different places. So like how does that how what are your interpretation of like that family dynamic? Because if there is an erasure in terms of how finances are happening when you're a child, but you never get taught that, and then you're an adult, and then it's like, okay, well now it's time to take care of mommy and daddy, you know what I mean? So like like what is do you see that in sort of some of the dynamics maybe that you see with the children, or with the people that you teach, with the teachers, like just your thoughts on that perspective and the family sort of arrangement of what that looks like.
Oh my God, hard questions for me. Everybody. Thank you. Thank you for the question, Bianca. And yes, I think sometimes I think children's are children's. And yes, because for example, about racism, when we need to say for some kids, or you are a black boy or you are a black girl, and you need to pay attention while how the people are talking with you. But it's a kids. You need to only live on the only playing or do something. And when you think about money, I think it's the same thing. But I think for us, we need to talk with the children, because yes, they need to understand about the system, about they sometimes they could not do some things because some families don't have perspectives. Uh, don't have perspectives, no perspectives, yes, but don't have uh, wages or budgets or you know money to do the things. Then, but I think it's sad that because sometimes we can just leave them to do playing or do something how children's is one thing, I think. In the other, I think to try organize the finance on the families, it's important, and I think we do that because we live on the perspective of collectivity. For example, what I say that my grandfather did graduation. He studied economics. Today I'm doing my PhD because I'm not some in Brazil. It's very common. Some black people say I'm the first person of my family who I do the graduation, but I'm not. And when I talk that, yes, because when I talk that, some people say, "Oh my God, but you are how uh how can I say?" Um, it's not the opposite of sofrimento. I don't know. Uh, yes, privilege. Yeah, thank you. How a privilege, or yes, I think why I can't leave that. Why I can't have that? Why only I'm a black woman? It's a thing too. But I think it's not my history, but the history of some people when they got some money or something, the first thing what they do is help the family. Then I think we involve that circle too to try. Uh, since we don't talk about that, but we help. We say no, you need to work, or we are connect with our family. Then I think. Uh, Sometimes we don't talk about, but we do about the money involves our family. It involves the children too, because we say no. In my family, it was common when Merry Christmas or birthday to buy new clothes. It's we know it's the time to buy new clothes. We don't have money, but every each year on this time we need to buy that. It's how if I was children, but I know about the expectative to use the money to do that. It's how if we organize our finance about that too. You know, I think we do that in different uh, kinds in different family, but I think we do that. And sometimes we don't have the option to do. We need to do that because if you wanna put some family, someone of the family to study or to travel to other country to do be an exchange in other country to do my PhD or other thing, we will talk about money. We will talk about the finance with our families. You know. Yes. What more you asking me? Sorry. Yes, yes, I think yes. Unfortunately, sometimes we need to talk because we don't have the option to do. We need to organize or say to them, "No, I can't do that because I don't have money because I don't have it." Or sometimes we say, "No, when you will save now because in 5 years or 10 years after we will do something." You know? Yes, yes. I think that's one more, and I think, oh my God, the time.
Just on the topic of like children that you're talking about, some classrooms will have like let's say a classroom currency or like pretend money, and let the kids kind of pretend to save and to spend on some classroom award, whatever. How do you feel about especially at a young age? Like I'm talking, this is maybe for like 7 to 10-year-olds. The idea of doing this like pretend in the classroom with the money. Do you think that's helpful or not? Like, would you do something like that?
With the, if I agree to talk with that with this that age,
Like, if you were teaching like classroom, would you do like the pretend money thing?
yeah, I worked with the high school. They have 15, 14, 14, yes, on this age. But I think they have 17. It's good to talk about that. Yes, because I think if they have money, if they pretend, what the same idea, I think we will connect with that because if you was born in a family what don't have too much money, in some moment will be a problem or will be the solution to try. They will need to talk about that to try thinking other perspectives, to pretend money, to travel or to realize some dreams. I think it's an important idea too, for example, to change the perspective because everybody is so sad. I think we need to think more about our dreams, to construct that with the children. For example, I need to talk with that with my children. For example, I can try to talk with them. Oh, what is your dream? Or what do you wanna receive? When I was a child, I wanna be a teacher. Yes, yes, I'm a teacher. Yes, I wanna. It's very funny because I write too much, and I wanna be a teacher. And I don't know how, but I said yes. And 5 years ago, I went to Rio to an event of black women in mathematics, black women in mathematics, and I say I wanna do master too because I knew the people who were some girls there, and started to dream with that. And I think, okay, we need to talk about money. The beginning of with the children or teenagers, for example, we can try to connect with them involves the dreams too, because if I don't have too much, uh, well, money or perspectives to receive, but if I didn't. Uh, Dreaming with realize something I will not realize. And I think it can be possible too. Okay, yes, I think we can try to do that, to discuss, to give it questions or give it, oh no, oh children, today I will not buy because I don't have money. Okay, but one day if you have money, what do you want to do? Or travel to what place? Or what do you want to construct in your family or with your friends, and to try to give you more sensible with this theme and to give the some perspectives too. It's hard, we know, but I think um need to be possible to transform. You know what you say about the class. Okay, we know about that idea, but okay, I can't enjoy some place or some food on some place only because of my class of my qualification on the society, where the society say you cannot enter here. I think it's not good that we need to change that perspective. And I think to talk that with the teenagers or younger people who receive the salary or some things or started to work, to try to plan it that, to use that. Yes.
I think we've there's a question. Oh no, I thought we were all done. Okay, where is it? Oh, yes. Alma, we see you. Why don't you ask your question?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I'm enjoying it. I just had a comment about the question I was asked previously in terms of um, our parents expecting us to like take care of them. I'm from Ghana and it's the same thing. Our parents, like when they get older, it's now the children's turn to take care of them. And I was just thinking, I have two kids of my own, but for me personally, I'm setting myself up in a way where they don't have to take care of me. So things like a retirement savings fund, an education fund for them, and in the event that, maybe I get older and I need like a nurse or I need some kind of assistance, I want them to kind of go out and live their life and not have to depend on them financially. So I guess my question is like, what is your thought on, I know like you're mainly in the schools educating children. What is your thought on maybe also educating the parents of those children in terms of setting themselves up now better late than never, like setting themselves up now so that their children are not burdened with the task of taking care of them, if that's the case in Brazil.
All right. Thank you for your question, Alma. I'll have you answer.
Oh my God. Mm.
I guess I'm just asking, like, do you think um the children that you're currently tackling now, like teaching them financial literacy, like would you ever consider also doing something where you're incorporating the parents as well, so that I guess it's like a family dynamic where everyone's able to learn financial literacy?
Mm. Interesting. I think, well, when we construct or when we do some activities on the school with the children, we'll be arrived on with on the Paris on the family. We arrived the ideas. We arrived on the house and the families and with the parents. I don't know. Yes, I don't know if some activities who is involved where I did not some activity to involve the right to the parents, but I think when we do that, when we do some activity with the students, we arrived on their house because they started to ask something, many things for them, for the parents, or we can do that, or how do you organize your family, your money? They asked that for that parents, and it started to talking about. I think it's important because yes, when we think about children or teenagers, kids, whatever, and the reference of money what they have, it's involves of the parents and involves of the family. Is the first reference where they have. And sometimes we live to repeat the behavior of our family. Then when we don't discuss that with inside of our family or with the parents, how the students will be that difference, then I think it's important, but I think sometimes the people don't have the knowledge about, or else it's difficult, it's hard only trying to work and survive to do the things, and it's not thinking or discussing about that inside of the family because don't have time to do that. But I think it's important to try to do that because yes, when we think different what I talk sometimes when we think about some areas of your lives, health or love, your dreams, or some things what you think involves our food or what the areas of your lives, everything involves money, everything involves saving. Then I think some moments we need to reflect about that. And with the student, when we do on the schools that with the students, we arrive on the house, I think. Yes. Thank you, Alma. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, let's go in the front over here so we can all properly thank Tamires for her wonderful presentation today. Thank you so much. Yes. You gave us a lot to think about. I think the Q&A was very lively, and I hope you took a lot of things too. Thank you so much for being our last Tubman Talk of the year. No, there's one more. That's a lie. Don't believe that. We have our next Tubman Talk on November 27th with Melanie Newton. So that will be our last Tubman Talk of the year of 2025. And we are also planning a holiday party. So stay tuned for that. But everyone, thank you so much for being here. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And thank you, Tamires. Oh, no, it's still, yeah.
Bye. Thank you, everybody on the Zoom too. Thank you, everybody here. Thank you for the interaction. Thank you, my supervisor. Thank you, Bianca. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.